How are you guys all doing today? Welcome back to the GSMC Chip Shot Football Podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Manny Maradiege. We are officially in the month of August, just 1 month away from the start of the NFL season. But today, we have our first NFL game back tonight with the Chicago Bears taking on the Houston Texans. No starters playing, but it's still football. We get to see the new kickoff rule, so that should be something to at least tune into to find out how that is. But on today's show, we're going to be talking about a few different things. I got a few things planned for you guys. One of the biggest ones is Mike Tomlin recently talking about the quarterback situation, providing an update on Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. Also, talking about the Arizona Cardinals and their quarterback situation with Kyler Murray. Was injured last year, now fully healthy this offseason. How is he fully being integrated into this new offense? And a question that I had for you guys, how good can Kyler Murray be? Where would he fit in this day and age's quarterback ranking, in the quarterback hierarchy in today's age when there's an excess amount of top quarterbacks? Where would Kyler Murray fit in there at his absolute best? We're going to get into that and some more topics later on in the show. But before I jump into the first topic on Mike Tomlin, I want to remind you guys, if you have any questions or comments, to use the tip and donations link, GSMCPodcast.net. By using that link, I'm able to see your question or comment, and that way get your guys' perspective on any of the topics or anything I say. And that way it makes the show a little bit more interactive. And also, it's a big help for the show and also the network. So we always greatly appreciate it whenever you guys are able to use that tip and donations link with any question or comment. Again, it's GSMCPodcast.net. Make sure to use that with anything you guys have to say. But that allows me to move now into the first segment. Like I said, Mike Tomlin and this quarterback battle that has been going on with Pittsburgh for a week now officially, that they started training camp exactly last Thursday. And the whole situation with the Steelers and this quarterback room now is that they have two very capable guys, I believe, to start and be their quarterback number one to start the regular season. But the biggest thing we've heard constantly over and over again with this quarterback battle is that Russ is in pole position. Russ is in pole position. Right now, Russell Wilson has the pole position in the hierarchy of the quarterbacks. So what exactly does that mean? You can kind of get an inclination of what Mike Tomlin was trying to say by that, but he kind of cleared it up today, which made me, face the situation in a whole different way, kind of look at it from a different point of view. And I'll get to that in just a second. But in terms of this job, many figured that with Mike Tomlin saying that Russell Wilson was already going to be the guy just based on what Mike Tomlin was saying. But because he has the experience, how I figured pole position kind of meant what it means in this situation, and this is kind of foreshadowing what I'm going to talk about in just a few moments, but I feel like pole position was kind of thrown out there in a way to make sure you got Russell Wilson through the door. This is what I believe. This isn't any reports or anything like that, but just based on how everything has been played out, it seems like you put it out there to have Russell Wilson see it, to kind of have Russell Wilson believe that he at least has somewhat of an upper hand over Justin Fields, just because I think right now at this point in his career, Russell Wilson isn't in a spot where, honestly, he wants to be in a quarterback battle, neck and neck, everything is fair. I believe that Russell Wilson thinks at this point in his career, he's done enough to warrant some sort of advantage coming into training camp. And if he was going to sign with any team, he wanted to make sure, that he had a good chance of being that starter. So that way, I think Mike Tomlin throws it out there. Russell Wilson is in pole position to be that starter. You get Russell Wilson through the door. You cross that bridge. And now you face this other dilemma with Justin Fields and Russell Wilson both on the team. And it gets a little bit tricky now because, like I mentioned, the Steelers have been in training camp for exactly a week now. And with Russell Wilson being in pole position, that's great for him. But he hasn't participated really at all at training camp so far. It's all been about Justin Fields getting additional reps with the first team. Russell Wilson is sidelined with a calf strain. That was at the start of it. He's kind of been eased back into it over the last few practices, but not fully back yet, and that has allowed, I think, Justin Fields and the entire national media now to kind of get a better look at Justin Fields. You see all the highlights. You see right away, I think it was right after the first day of training camp, how all the headlines read that Justin Fields is, surprising everybody. He's playing great already. Is Russell Wilson's job already in question? All these things right out the gate. That's great for Justin Fields because he's definitely taking advantage of it. He definitely wants to be the starter. Obviously, he's not going to just move to the side for Russell Wilson, but with that now, impressing, getting the additional reps, and just from what I've been, looking into it and what I've seen from training camp, the main takeaways from Justin Fields and where he's really excelling at has been a great deep ball. The ball placement also has been very good. The running ability obviously is a big one with the kind of offense that they run with Arthur Smith, and the athleticism, just overall a pure athlete, one of the best athletes already on the team, is really showing up for Justin Fields, and that's getting a lot of people excited because honestly you haven't really seen a quarterback with the Pittsburgh Steelers have that sort of repertoire, so that's exciting. And he's playing good as a traditional quarterback. He's, I think, surprising a lot of people from what they expected to see out of Justin Fields. And Mike Tomlin spoke about it in one quote that he said with CBS. I'll pull it up right now. He said, "We've got two really capable guys. We're going to create an environment where they get an opportunity to compete and see what they're capable of. Justin has really taken advantage of the opportunity for additional snaps because Russ has been out some the first week. Really just excited about the trajectory of it." What you'd expect to hear from Mike Tomlin. Again, still stressing the idea of competition up until this point where Russ hasn't been out there, so it's not like he doesn't want to seem like he's just giving the position still to Russell Wilson because it's hard to do that with Justin Fields impressing already so early on in training camp. But the more interesting quote I pulled from this interview that he did with CBS was this next quote on the pole position. Mike Tomlin himself clearing up what he meant by that and where we can now bring that in our evaluation of this quarterback competition in reality, when he said, "We described it as Russ having pole position, meaning that they're going to be given an opportunity to compete, but I just think it's important to lean on his experience and his expertise relative to the things that come outside of playing to provide direction for the unit." And I think that was really telling and also really fascinating. To kind of go back to what I mentioned before, pole position, you throw it out there to make sure Russ comes in, make sure you sign him, make sure he wants to sign with the Steelers, thinking that he'll have a great opportunity to be the starter once he signs. But basically, I think this is still saying that, yes, it is going to be a competition, but Russ should be in that, pole position so that the team kind of right off the bat sees him in a position of, leadership, takes him seriously, because after the Denver Broncos situation, it's very easy for Russ to walk in the locker room and not be taken seriously, not be taken as a full, leader, even though he's had a great career, great legacy already with Seattle and everything he did there. After the most recent run of events, it could be a situation where some guys just look at this guy funny and think that, this is the guy that had that cheesy pickup line in Denver and they didn't succeed at all. So I think that pole position sort of statement kind of helped Russ get in, have all these guys really rally around him and still make him believe, take him seriously, and sort of remind everybody by signing him that this is still the same old Russell Wilson. Let's not forget that this is a guy that has won a Super Bowl, was super successful, one of the best quarterbacks at the time with Seattle. I think that more so was the idea of Mike Tomlin saying that Russ is in pole position right now to make sure he is in this leadership position right away where guys look at him whenever he's talking, they make sure they listen and get him to take him seriously most of all. Not so much as giving him advantage right away, handing him over the keys, but making sure everybody in that locker room knows that, this is still Russell Wilson. Whatever happened recently in Denver is one situation. He also had an enormous amount of success in Seattle. So that's where I'm thinking about it. And does that mean in any way that this quarterback battle is now 50-50? Probably not up until that extent, but I think Justin Fields is definitely getting people to look at this team differently. And then the last thing I'll say about this is now with Justin Fields improving and impressing people, now you get this conversation in the national media of if Justin Fields plays, I've heard that people are comparing this Steelers team, the potential of this team to that of the Baltimore Ravens with having that running ability, that great running game with Najee and Jaylen Warren, and Justin Fields, who is, I think, a very talented runner, maybe not as talented as Lamar, but he's right there in terms of athletic ability. This team sort of resembles that with the heavy packages, the 12 personnel, the multiple tight end looks. The only difference now with the Steelers team is that they have a great generational type of receiver like George Pickens, where the Baltimore Ravens don't really have that. So in a way, if you really want to go into this comparison and think that, the quarterbacks line up with their abilities, you have the great offensive line or the offensive line that the Steelers are building, a great running duo, you could say that maybe in that scenario, the Steelers could have a better situation now because they have better receivers than the Baltimore Ravens do at this point in time. So I'm not saying I fully buy into that, but I wanted to address it because I've heard it and I kind of see it. But right now, I'd like to see the Steelers step foot on the field during the regular season before I start crowning them the next Baltimore Ravens. There are some resemblances. I do acknowledge that fact, but we are still just getting into August. We are in the first day of August, and right now, it could still be Russell Wilson starting, and I think that's still the majority feeling up until this point. But Justin Fields is certainly, impressing a lot of people and surprising a lot of people is what I meant to say, because I don't think a lot of people expected him to right away show off some of that ball placement, some of that deep ball placement, and surprising a lot of people early on. The offense is looking good from what I've been able to follow up on Twitter through training camp and all of that. So it's exciting. It's exciting when you're getting compared to one of the best teams in the AFC. But again, I'm a guy that likes to see it. I have to see it first before I make any sort of projection somewhat. Let's just get to preseason at least first. But that is everything on Mike Tomlin, providing an update on the quarterback battle a week into training camp. And with that being said, we're going to jump from one quarterback situation to another with the Arizona Cardinals. Now with Kyler Murray being fully integrated into this offense, having a full offseason to really learn this offense, where is Kyler Murray's ceiling? With all these great, phenomenal quarterbacks in the league right now, I wanted to evaluate where does Kyler Murray fit into that, because he's coming off of a hurt season. I like where the Cardinals are going, but this pairing, where could that elevate Kyler Murray in terms of fitting into this tier hierarchy ranking for the quarterbacks nowadays? We're going to answer that question and dive deeper into that when we return. You're listening to the GSMC Chip Shot Football Podcast.